Hello or welcome back. Today I wanted to make a video for you about some of the lesser known items that really helped me during my pregnancy and during my postpartum recovery. And they're items that I didn't see a lot of people talking about, so maybe I'm just watching the wrong videos, but I wish I would have known about them prior to my first pregnancy. This is my first video back since I gave birth to our second child, so I also wanted to make this while everything was fresh in my mind. And the good news is that all of these items are pretty affordable. And I know that that can be a relative term for some people, so to give you an idea, none of these items, at least during the time of shooting this video, cost more than $25 to $30 US. Welcome to MrsCrunchy, where we discuss natural living in a modern world. Remember when I was pregnant with our first kid, I did all the research, which I'm sure a lot of people do. You know, I was online and I was watching all the videos I could about what I should buy, and I kept coming across the same items, which was good on the one hand because I was like, well, a lot of people really benefited from these, so I'm sure they really are worthwhile to purchase. But also, what about some of the unexpected things? The first item on my list are memory foam slippers, and these are mine. You can tell they're nothing glamorous, people, but they really help me out. If you've seen those mats that are really cushy, I don't know what they're called, but I've seen people that work in like commercial kitchens use them, or even at home. A lot of people have them at their kitchen sink. What I like about these is that they really provide that extra cushion that's needed. And I know a lot of women experience this during their pregnancies, during the third trimester, is your lower back starts to hurt. And so it's really nice to just have that layer. And the nice thing about having them in shoes is that they go with you wherever you are. So it's not like you just have this one space where you have this really nice mat. Literally, wherever you walk, you have this extra layer that, for me, really lessened my lower back pain. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos and the background looks different, it is because I am playing around with shooting in other areas of my house, so I can hopefully shoot more often if I can work in different areas, coordinating with nap schedules and just general child ruckus. The second item on my list are bendy straws. So whether they come with a tumbler like mine, I can link it if you're interested below, but just any tumbler, I know there's a lot of these now. The key to me is having them be extra long. This is a larger size tumbler, and that they're flexible. When I was giving birth, it was so helpful for me to be able to sip water, and I remember my doula, who was so great, she would like bend the straw so I could sip out of it because I was sometimes, you know, just lying there, and it sounds like it's not that big of a deal, but it can really be a big deal. And I know also that when you're breastfeeding, you are sometimes in these very contorted positions, or you're nap trapped under the baby, and being able to hydrate yourself no matter what can be very useful. So I would say long bendy straws were something else that was very key, not only during my labor, but also during postpartum. Okay, on to number 3, dimmable light bulbs. Now, these, depending on what kind you get, can be kind of pricey, but so these were actually a gift from a relative of ours that didn't want them, so they were free to us, but I looked up the price and I was like, well, those are kind of expensive. But I saw that you can also get a very simple version that just comes in one color. These are like the ones that come in all different colors. To be honest, I just use mostly the one color. Very rarely do I use any of the other colors, but being able to dim a bedside table lamp is very, very, very helpful after the baby comes. But I didn't want to have to purchase a whole nother lamp, and I also saw some of those were great for not waking up the baby because they weren't too bright, but for everyday use when you're not postpartum, for me, they weren't bright enough to do bedside reading or just be able to see what you're doing. So instead of buying a whole nother lamp, I think it's much more affordable and just easier to have the dimmable light bulbs. And they connect to an app on your phone, and you can just go on your phone and get whatever, you know, brightness you want. And it's also great because if you're kind of trying to wean your child off of light, so for me, for this child, she kind of liked the nightlight on at first, and then I kind of slowly started lowering how bright it was because I feel like I sleep better the darker the room, and I found that she was actually sleeping better the darker the room was. But I think going from having a nightlight to nothing at all would have been too much of a transition for her. So it was nice to be able to do that gradually. The next item is something that I always have on me regardless, but I just add an extra one on, and that is a hair tie. So you can see I have two because I usually have one that I'm putting in my hair, so I've taken to wearing two. But this is for those of you who are breastfeeding. You remember which side you did last, or which side is next, whichever one you want to do. I personally do whichever side is next because it's not always obvious when you are postpartum, or just in general. You know, the brain space is just limited, and so the less that I actually have to remember and don't have to think about, the better. So I just keep it on my wrist. I know which side I need to nurse the baby on next, and then just while I'm nursing, I just switch them around, and there you have it. So simple, it's really cheap, and a no-brainer. My final item is a mug of your choice. Again, it doesn't have to be anything fancy at all, but the reason it's really nice is not for drinking so much as, see these, if you've ever used these are a manual breast pump. So this brand is called Haka. It's one I happen to have. I'm sure there are other brands, but it's kind of wobbly, and I am kind of a klutz, and so I've been known to just like accidentally sideswipe the pump as I gather milk, and it just like spills everywhere. And the saying, you know, never cry over spilled milk, well, they are not an exclusively breastfeeding mother, let me tell you that. I like to put it in a mug, and that way you can just kind of carry it around, and a lot less flimsy than just carrying this or just having it sit on your nightstand. Some of them have like suction cups on the bottom, and those I've found, I don't know, maybe it's the one I have, but I didn't find it super helpful. I didn't feel like the suction worked that great. And again, you still have the issue of carrying it to and from, like from your bedroom to the kitchen or whatever you have to do. So just putting it in the mug like this makes things a lot easier. So those are the unexpected items that really helped me during pregnancy and postpartum. And if you felt like this video was helpful, please feel free to share it with a mom-to-be or someone who's recently postpartum. And again, I want to thank everyone so much for their patience, those of you who have watched my videos. I know it's been 2 months since I've gotten anything out to you, but honestly, this is the first chance that I've had to make something, or something that I would be proud enough to release out to you. And you know, I'm not going to be giving you a home tour anytime soon or showing you my laundry basket, but I was able to get this out, and I'm so happy about it. And I also have to give a shout out to my family and friends that have been supporting us. We really couldn't have done it without you. Even just the neighbors passing by, sending words of encouragement or dropping off flowers has been really nice. And to those of you who I've never met, you've sent nice messages as well, and so I really appreciate your words of support too. So that's all I have for today, and I will see you all again soon.